This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
Yes, indeed, your weekly stop for anything and everything related to Georgia agriculture. Hi, everybody. So glad you could join us for another edition of the Farm Monitor. I am Ray DeLessio.
And I am Kenny Burgamy. We got a lot of ground to cover on today's show, so let's get right to it. Straight ahead, the Monitor traveled to Madison County for an update on the 2019 soybean harvest and to see what effects this historically dry growing season may have had on this year's crop. Also on the program, as expected, Hurricane Michael still rearing its ugly head some 14 months after the fact. Pecan producers share their thoughts on how the storm of all storms is impacting this year's harvest.
And then later, it's a problem often ignored, but something that can wreak havoc on lawns, driveways, and other parts of your property if not addressed. That is why we sought out the expertise of Extension Specialist Paul Pugliese, who will get to the root of the matter. All this and more starts right now on the Farm Monitor.
Between the low prices and poor weather, it's been a rough growing season for Georgia soybean producers. Damon Jones tells you how much the crop has been affected and what's next for farmers in a down market.
While not among the biggest crops in Georgia, there are still nearly 150,000 acres of soybeans planted across the state each year. And after a bit of a delay, those growers are out in the fields gathering up their harvest after a historically dry growing season.
The planting season was pretty ideal. I mean, we had optimal rain and we had optimal soil moisture. So we got the crop in real well, it came up real well, and then when it got to pod formation, it decided to not rain for about 2 months. And with dryland farmers like ourselves, we depend a lot on the rain since we don't have irrigation to make things grow, and it just put a damper on seed formation and seed development, so we got a lot of small pods and a lot of small flat seed.
However, that rain would eventually come towards the tail end of the growing season, which pushed back the harvest while also affecting the overall quality.
I think everyone around this area, as well as us, have had a pretty hard year for soybeans and yield-wise, especially with the no rain and especially now that we're getting rain during harvest time and we shouldn't be getting rain. The seed is starting to sprout in some spots, causing a decrease in overall seed quality.
That means these combines will be working overtime over the next few weeks, as getting the beans out of the field in a timely fashion is of the highest priority.
Quality becomes a big issue. You start to lose some test weight, and the moisture tends to go down the later you leave it in the field. And then also harvesting losses increase with the later you leave stuff in the field as well. So we're seeing a little bit of all of that due to the adverse conditions that we faced with the weather.
While this recent flurry of wet weather has slowed down the harvest progress, growers are still willing to take some delays if it means more rain for future crops.
As farmers, we're kind of two-sided coin. When we want a lot of rain, but then we don't want rain at a specific point in time. So at this point, I just will take rain whenever we can get it, whether it puts us behind in soybeans. It'll help us hopefully with wheat and getting that crop to come up and hopefully be a good crop.
As for the soybeans from this harvest, many farmers will be storing them away and hoping for a rebound in price due to the trade war with China.
We currently do not have any contracts set. We're going to put it in our grain bin and hope for better prices in the future. We normally try to sell our soybeans around January, and typically over the years we've gotten a little bit better price in January, but the soybean market overall is way far down from where it normally is.
Reporting from Madison County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Well, as you know, Georgia leads the nation in pecan production, a title that comes with a number of challenges, especially within the past year. After Hurricane Michael devastated the 2018 crop, producers were hoping that this growing season would be a good one. As John Holcomb reports, good wound up being not bad, but could have been better.
It was said that Hurricane Michael will be a storm that people will feel the effects of for years to come. That most certainly is true this year, especially for pecan producers in the state. as they are seeing their yields down once again. That was somewhat expected, though, especially the year after a big storm that decimated orchards.
For the whole state of Georgia, it's going to be a down year compared to what would have been last year. And that really comes from the effects still from Hurricane Michael. So if you go into southwest Georgia, in the Albany area, they're as low as 300, 400, 500 pounds an acre, which was what was expected from the devastation that they received. I work and cover the southeast district, and even here it's still variable because some of the damage from the hurricane did come over to the district a little bit. And what that does is you lost last year's crop almost completely, and then you also had a lot of damage to the trees. And generally the year following a hurricane, you tend to have obviously a really low year.
One producer that knows that all too well is Chris Clow. Him and his family farm 1,000 acres of pecans and also run this store where they shell, buy, and sell pecans to the public. He says a lot of their problem this year was the weather.
The season in general has been very variable according to variety. There's been a lot of weather issues, from a really, really dry late summer to a really wet fall during harvest. The yields have been just as variable as the production itself. So, a lot by variety. Some yields have been really good on some varieties. Most varieties have been a little bit off this year.
Aside from the growing and harvesting challenges that have come with this year, producers have also had to worry about external factors, like trade and commodity prices.
The impact has been really big because, one, the tariffs have been really high that we've had to work with, and two, the Chinese New Year was really, really early this year, which made it really complicated to get the nuts harvested in a timely fashion to get them to the port and to China before the new year. It's challenges that most of us have overcome. Some of us missed the boat on that. And when you miss the boat, there's about a 75-cent difference as average of a export nut as there is a domestic pecan.
Even with all that going on, though, he is still optimistic for the future.
You got to stay positive. I mean, the farmer's motto is next year will be better. And you've always got to stay positive and look forward to the future. If you don't, you're in the wrong business. And that's the way we look at it, is next year will be better, and we've just got to look at the future with an open heart and open mind and make some industry changes.
Reporting in Blackshear for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
All right, John, thank you very much. And the pecan theme continues. After the break, we're going to take you inside a pecan shaker to see what really goes on in one of those things. Ag Adventures and its new host when the Farm Monitor continues.
Mark Van Eersel has been a valued faculty member in the Department of Horticulture since 1995, during which time his research has covered multiple areas, most notably in the area of irrigation management in greenhouses and nurseries. Van Eersel's broad research approach addresses numerous irrigation issues, from sub-irrigation for greenhouses to the use of soil moisture sensors and crop water use models for managing irrigation. His irrigation projects have been highly successful, resulting in a commercial wireless sensor network system that is specifically designed for irrigation management in greenhouses and nurseries. Now, Van Eersel is pursuing research on developing energy-efficient LED lighting for greenhouses and vertical farms. Van Eersel has earned many awards, including Fellow of the American Society for Horticultural Science, the Porter Henniger Award from the Southern Nursery Association for outstanding contributions to ornamental horticulture research, and the Georgia Green Industry Association Friend of the Environment Award. As one colleague said, Dr. Van Eersel is one of the most productive and talented plant physiologists in the United States. His work ethic and output are legendary. Congratulations, Mark Van Eersel, on receiving the D.W. Brooks Faculty Award for Excellence in Research.
As the old saying goes, the show must go on. In this case, we're talking about a particular segment. 2019, of course, saw the debut of Ag Adventures here on the Farm Monitor, featuring special contributor Logan Barnes. Well, Miss Barnes is now a Mrs. and has moved on to start a family. However, a new victim, correspondent that is, has emerged. Erin Naismith, Georgia Farm Bureau's Young Farmer Coordinator, and someone who was no stranger to the camera, having made her way through the FFA ranks. Her first assignment, head to a pecan field and shake things up.
Hey friends, welcome to Perry, Georgia for another ag adventure. We are standing in a pecan orchard because happy National Pecan Month. On today's ag adventure, I get to be with one of my Young Farmer and Rancher State Committee members, Mr. Kason Anderson. And Kason is the owner of CCA Pecans, and he's going to teach me some fun things about harvesting pecans. So Kason, tell me a little bit about who you are, your operation, and what we get to do today.
We farm approximately 500 producing acres in Houston, Peach, Macon, and Pulaski County. Everyone who works on our acres is under the age of 27.
Wow.
So we actually manage about 840 acres of old ones and young ones. And we've been wide open since late October, and maybe we'll be done by Christmas.
So tell us about this product right here. What are we going to be using to actually harvest today?
Okay, this is a 2016 Coast shaker. A lot of the shakers kind of mimic each other. They hadn't changed a lot since the late 80s, early 90s, but I think they got the hydraulics and everything down to a fine art. So it's self-propelled, it's like a vehicle. The sweepers remove the nuts before you run over them.
Okay.
I think it's a top-notch machine. It's comfortable, air conditioning, radio. The price tag is about the price of a small house, but you have to have one.
So this has obviously changed a lot, probably not in your lifetime, but in the lifetime of pecan operations. So what did they used to use before technology was brought in?
I think bamboo poles, pipe. There was some attachment that they would tie a rope to a limb and the tractor would shake it. I've heard a story of putting a rubber tire on the front of a tractor and giving the farmhand a metal bucket over his head.
No kidding.
All right, Aaron, first thing before we crank it up, your sweepers are on, and I'm gonna tell you to raise the boom, you pull it back. It's just like a tractor joystick. Okay. To lower the boom, you push it down. This is what closes the shaker head, and it automatically senses that it's ready to shake. And then when you're done, we'll shake for about 2 to 3 seconds. If you were here in December, no leaves on the tree, we shake till they're all gone. And then when you're done shaking, you'll hit that to open it. There's also a diagram there to help you.
Pedal, clutch, how does that work?
It's no clutch, it's just like a zero-turn lawnmower.
Okay.
It's hydrostatic, you have a forward and reverse pedal. You have a foot throttle, but when you're shaking in the orchard, I usually set my RPMs to 1776. I just thought it was a good number.
America.
Yeah. And but you want the right pad to be close to the trunk and let the left do all the closing and keep the head as straight and level as possible.
Okay. I trust that you're going to tell me it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Kason, how'd I do?
I'm not lying for TV. All the barks there, I think you actually did really good.
That was so much fun.
And that was not rehearsed. That
no,
was the
that
first
was
time.
so cool. And this is literally the first time that I've ever driven any type of heavy equipment, if you call this heavy equipment. That was so much fun. I hope that you all enjoyed that experience as much as I did. It's always an experience in agriculture. Happy National Pecan Month. Thank you, Kason, for having me out here. This was a really cool experience. We'll see you next time on another Ag Adventure.
Way to go, Aaron. Great job. Up next, from pecan trees, we turn to tree roots and the important measures you can take to ensure they do not become a nuisance on your property.
When I came to the University of Georgia, I actually had vegetable responsibilities. Fortunately, the first person I met was Bill Brim at Lewis Taylor Farms. He took an untold amount of hours and time to help me understand Georgia agriculture, Georgia produce production, and the time and effort that he took to get my program off the ground was amazing.
I didn't appreciate what he had done and what he does do until I started working out here. I didn't understand the things that he did and that he fought for and that he continues to do every day.
He always puts everybody else before him. Again, whether he's helping us politically, whether he's helping us through extension or helping us through research, he always finds the time. Every time I ask him, hey, I have a group from the US EPA, can you do a tour? Absolutely, takes 2 hours out of his time to help. USDA, University of Georgia, it just doesn't matter. He takes so much time to help share his knowledge.
He has the knowledge and he has the ability to go out and reach people that can make changes and can make sure that everybody, not just us, but all farmers, all areas of agriculture that are touched by, if it's a disaster or if it's, guest worker programs or whatever, he can get out there and he can talk to them and he can make them understand why it's so important.
I just always thought it was real important for somebody to be able to speak out, and like I said, I've got a pretty big mouth, so I speak out pretty well on occasions when my heart's into it.
That in 1 minute he can go from talking to the governor or a senator to talking to one of our laborers in the field, and he treats them all the same. He treats them all with respect, he treats them all with kindness, but he can make them all understand how important what we need or what all our farmers need.
He's traveled with me numerous times to Washington, D.C. to fight to keep grower tools, to get new grower tools, and he's always going out of his way to help anybody in agriculture.
The opportunities that were afforded to me to be able to go to different places like Atlanta, to the legislature, to Washington, D.C.
Just my cooperation with him, mostly through the US EPA, his impact has been essentially mind-boggling. His impact on the number of management tools that we've been able to bring to growers is worth millions and millions and millions of dollars.
I think it's a huge, huge honor for Daddy and for us to be able to see people acknowledge the work that he has done and the time and the effort, and to be able to reflect back on all the years and the hard work that he has put in, not just on our farm and not just with the things that we do here every day, but throughout the state of Georgia and the Southeast, all the work that he has put in to make sure that farmers are protected and that agriculture continues to strive and grow and thrive here in the Southeast.
I think my legacy, though, is when farmers come up to me and tell me that they certainly appreciate what I've done for them and for our community of farmers, that we always will be able to think back and have those farmers that call you and just say thank you for what you've done.
Hi, I'm Paul Pugliese with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. As a county extension agent, we get a lot of calls and complaints about tree roots coming up in people's lawns. The first question I always ask is, well, how old is the tree? Because some trees, they get big and their roots continue to grow out into that lawn over time. This is a great example of an oak tree that's fully mature at this point, and those roots are obviously way out into the lawn. A lot of people don't realize how far the roots of a tree on a mature tree actually can go. A lot of studies show now that the roots on a tree can go as far as 1.5 to 2 times the width of the canopy of that tree. So that's a long ways. You're looking at 30 plus feet, maybe 40 feet out from this tree that the roots actually extend. And so we know they're getting into the lawn, and that causes a couple of different conflicts. For one, those tree roots that come up into the grass are going to be susceptible to being hit by lawnmowers and weed eaters all the time. And that's causing permanent damage to that tree. Every time you hit that tree, that wound is going to open up. It's going to be an open wound that can attract insects and diseases and cause decay and rot. And eventually that can actually catch up to that tree and maybe even kill that tree. So that's something that you want to prevent or avoid. A lot of people ask, well, can I cover those roots with soil? In fact, that's really not a good idea. If you put too much soil or topsoil over those roots, you could actually smother those roots and cause more damage than good. So really the best thing you can do to protect those roots is to put mulch out to protect those roots. And again, the farther out you can go, the better to try to protect them. Another issue that we see commonly with tree roots in lawns is because they are getting out into that lawn area, they can be a tripping hazard, and they're also going to be possibly coming into contact with herbicides. If you're spraying for weeds in your lawn, that tree is going to be taking up some of those herbicides over time, and eventually, if it takes up enough herbicides, that could be a stress, or it could potentially cause permanent damage to that tree as well. So these are all good reasons to try to avoid having roots in your lawn. And so you're going to have to redraw those bed lines periodically to figure out how we're going to protect those roots and incorporate that into your lawn and your landscape. So this is a great example of a smaller tree. This is actually a redbud tree that doesn't have obviously any mulch that's protecting those roots. And again, the best thing to protect a tree and to increase the longevity of a tree and to protect the health of that tree is to make sure you cover those roots with mulch. And it's something that you actually have to continue to add and replenish that mulch periodically as well. Realize too that trees get bigger. This tree is still kind of small, but eventually it's going to outgrow this space and you're going to have to expand that mulch island over time. And so I actually recommend redrawing your landscape bed lines once every 10 years around trees, because a tree 30 years from now is a lot bigger and you're going to have a lot more roots that you need to mulch and protect, because you're not going to be able to grow grass there at the end of the day, and the tree is not going to do very well in that situation. So one of the ways you can do that is to take a garden hose and lay that around the base of the tree and try to get it out at least to the drip line. And again, the further out you can go, the better for that tree to protect more roots, obviously. So we can also try to, in this case, incorporate that bed line into an existing landscape bed so it ties in nicely with the other shrubs and flowers that we have in the landscape. So once you get your hose situated the way that you want, I recommend getting some marking paint that you can get at the local hardware store and spraying out along that hose the shape and size of that bed that you want. That way you know exactly where it is. And if you have gravel or rocks or anything in there, you can dig those out. And again, get it down to just the roots and add your mulch. And what we look for is about 3 to 4 inches of mulch. And I always say any mulch is better than no mulch at all. Whether it's pine straw or wood bark or composted wood bark fines, whatever you want to incorporate into your landscape is good. But you got to protect those roots. And again, redraw those bed lines every 10 years or so as that tree gets larger. So if you have any other questions about maintaining trees, go to our website at ugaextension.com and call your local county extension office, or continue to follow us on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you for watching.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.